Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. It's been a tough couple of days here. We've had some bunch of troubles with the camera and shooting and stuff, and I'm just going to go over a few things here with you. I got a bunch of parts in from Vin for his project. This is for the CJ3A, and he was able to source a lot of... It's a new camera, so I don't know if the focus is good or what's happening, but we're trying to get it right. He was able to source a lot of new old stock transmission parts. There's a main shaft, got an input shaft. We need second gear. Here's a real nice second gear. We got some brake shoes for the transfer case in the original box, original Bendix parts. And he was able to get all this stuff from Pete DeBella out on Long Island. You guys probably heard of him, Pete DeBella Jeep Parts. He's got warehouses full of new old stock stuff, and he can probably help you out if you need anything. And let me try and get you over on some other parts here. Bear with me. We got a whole new setup. Rebuilt that whole steering gear on film and then lost everything, and then the camera broke. So I've got a whole new setup here that I'm trying to use. And it's a little tricky. See if I can walk in here. Okay, there's all our bearings. There's all our bearings and seals for the front and rear end. We've got an overdrive there from Herm, the overdrive guy, and I'll show you step by step how we're going to put that in. That'll be when we get to the transfer case. And in this box we've got a kit, transfer case kit. There's our small parts. Here's a real nice part of this kit, is a hardened shaft with O-ring sealing capability. And this is from Novak adapters. They make a nice kit. That's probably the nicest hardened gear shaft out there. And like I say, I'm not associated with Novak or Pete or anything, but when guys got good parts, I like to use them. So that kit's from Novak, and it's been using those for a while, and they're real good. We got these from Pete out in Long Island. These are your shims for your steering knuckles. And if you've tried to shim those before and you just get shims from just anybody, they're not stamping them right. The holes are off, it doesn't fit over your studs, or your bolts won't go through real good. Willys of France apparently still has tons of these, so these fit perfect, and they're good to use. I like to use stuff that fits. And there's a new old stock shim kit for the axle, and these are real nice. These are your, hope you can see these. These are your original style knuckle seals. As you can see, it's a piece of aluminum with your rubber built right into it. And underneath that rubber, there's a little bit of a spring that holds this to your knuckle. You get some gaskets that go behind there. This is what every Jeep came through originally with. And they're kind of hard to find, but like I say, Pete still has some out there. And the stuff coming out today is just a piece of stamped steel with a one-piece rubber ring that goes around it. And you know, if you're just doing a driver, they're fine, but if you're trying to do something nice, it's nice to have those original style knuckle seals. There's our rear outer seal there. Seal tested, made in the USA. We got our seal tested inner bearings here, inner seals for the front axle. Again, very high quality. Again, seal tested brand. Very high quality again. So we've got enough to keep us busy. And like I say, I did the rebuild on the steering box step by step, but I lost all the video. So it's together, and I'm just going to give you some of the highlights of how that goes together. Like I say, because everything kind of went to hell. But I'm going to go get set up over by the bench, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, and try and talk you through it. Okay, let me get set up over there, and I'll see you over at the bench. Okay, here we are over at the steering gear, and like I say, it's assembled already. What I've done here so far is put the two. These are the old bushings that came out, and the longer one goes on the pitman arm side, and the shorter one goes up here. You can see there's a long and a short, and this is the kind of thing I tap them in with. You can see it's got a step in it, and it fits in there real nice. And then from the other side I tap that one in, and then from there tap that one in. And the only thing you really need to be careful of here, inside here is a little oil hole, a little path for oil to get from in here and lubricate in where your bushings are. If you bang this bottom one in too far, you'll cover that hole. So make sure when you're putting your bottom one in, you leave that oil hole free, and you stick a pick down there, make sure everything's free, make sure that can get oil in there, otherwise you tear everything up. Okay, so once your bushings are in, these are designed to go in, and you see they've got a split here. These go in that hole, and they tighten up, and they get, you won't be able to get your sector shaft through. They have to be reamed. This sector shaft measures 873.5, and we're going to take a reamer which is 875, which is 7/8, and go right down through there. That gives you about 1.5 thousandths clearance, and that's perfect. Like I say, these are already reamed because I already did this. But here's a reamer. This is just a hand reamer, and this is 7/8. This is going to make a perfect 7/8 hole and ream these bushings true. So you're going to send that down through there. You're going to spin it right down through there. Again, you don't have to set this up in a machine or anything. You're taking very little off. Get right down through there. True everything up to size. So now you got a perfect 7/8 bushing in there, and your sector shaft will go right in. Now before we put the sector shaft in there, we got to get the tube and worm in there. I think you can see we got a new bearing kit, top and bottom, and you want to set your cup in there, put your bearings on your shaft there, and then set it in there. And what you're hoping for here with shims, there's going to be shims under this cap. What you're hoping for is that's got to move freely, super easy, but you don't want any up-down play. And it took a while, and we had to add 3 or 4 shims there to make it right. But this right now is spinning perfectly freely, and if we try and pull and push on it, there's no play in there. And that's really the only place you can be. If you have up-down play, you're not going to have good steering. If it's too tight, your steering is going to be like hell anyway. So make sure you get that right. Okay. Now, like I said, this measures 873.5, and that's how it was figured. So you get a 1.5 thousandths clearance in there. So we're going to send this down through there. We've got a good quality seal on that side, and we've got a little bit of grease on that seal. We don't want to tear it up with those splines. So we're going to send that through there, and it fits perfectly and hits our seal very nice. Okay, now that we got that, the steering box is just about done as far as the rebuilding and the parts we needed. The cap goes on, and here's your adjustment screw right here. Okay, by spinning this in and out and then locking it, you're pressing that up against this. That moves this whole sector shaft in closer to the worm. Okay, and when you're adjusting this, and I'll show you after I get a gasket in there and finish this up. But when you're in a straight ahead position, there's going to be a little drag on that. And that's how this worm is designed. This worm has got a varying cut on it. So in a straight ahead position, you'll feel a little drag when you come through straight. And then as you get to all the way right or all the way left, it loosens up. And it loosens up so that when you come out of your turn, you let go of the wheel, it's going to naturally want to return to center. So on the adjustment, you'll feel it. It's going to be snug through the center, and then it'll loosen up out on each end. And that's kind of critical too. You want that snugness in the center to keep you going straight down the road. And I know there's spring-loaded kits out there and this and that and the other thing to keep constant pressure on your sector shaft. I don't use those. I've put them in for a lot of guys that thought they wanted them. It doesn't make up for bad parts. You need good parts in a steering box. No spring-loaded gadget is going to get you out of trouble if you got a worn sector shaft or worn worm in there. So spend your money on good quality parts to put in the box and adjust it right, and you won't need any of that. Okay, we've got this cap on. These bolts, we're going to pull them out one at a time and seal them. And this is how they did it from the factory. I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can see it. Again, this new camera is killing me. 2 bolts. A lot of times they take them out and they have a copper washer. These have like a brass or bronze washer on them. 2 bolts have washers. 2 bolts have lock washers. The 2 bolts that go into oil, that was their plan at sealing the oil in there, is that little brass washer. Let me see if I can get you in there better. Yeah, I think you can see that. But anyway, I mean, that did an okay job. But I like to seal these bolts, and I like to seal these 3 top bolts. So the stuff I like to use is this Permatex anaerobic gasket maker. The part number, if anybody cares, is 51813. And an old engine builder showed me this stuff long ago. And it'll seal the threads real nice. I had some trouble on an engine with leaky head studs on an L head, and pulled the studs out and put this on it, fixed them right up, and it works on oil, you know, coolant, whatever. So we'll put a little bit on here. These bolts will go in. We'll put a little bit on here, and those will seal them up for good. And the next thing we're gonna hit on is what kind of lubricant to put in there. I get that question all the time, and the biggest thing not to do is do not fill that with grease. As soon as you turn that sector shaft, the grease will run away from where it needs to be. Do not put grease in there. There is special steering box lube. I may use that. There's a couple different ways to go, and we're going to talk quite a bit about lubrication of the steering box, transmission, transfer case, rear ends, engine. We're going to talk quite a bit about lubrication because most people are doing it wrong, and they're having troubles and they don't know why, and most of the time you could track it back to lubrication. But when the lube goes in, I'll tell you exactly what I'm using. I've got a little bit more to do here. I've got to make a gasket for right here, and do some cleaning up, and I'm going to try and make sure this video works out Again, I'm using a new camera. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know how it's working. So that's basic steering box rebuild. Like I say, I lost all the footage of the actual stuff going on when I was doing it. But just bear with me. We'll make sure everything's working for the T90 rebuild and the Dana 18, the Model 18 transfer case. Okay guys, I just finished cutting out a gasket for this steering box. You know, if you don't if you don't like the gasket you get, or you want a special gasket, a couple hole punches, an X-Acto knife, and you can get just what you want. I cut a lot of gaskets because there's a lot of junk out there. So there it is, fitting on there pretty nice. And there's a lot of high quality material you can get for gaskets. And so I have a pretty big assortment of stuff. And I'm restoring also a World War II Ford Burma Jeep, a bomb carrier, and had to make 99% of those gaskets. So it's a good skill to have. Take your time, get a hole punch set, and you should be able to make some decent gaskets. So I thought I had some lube left, enough to get one more box done, but I don't have the exact lube I want. I have something a little bit thicker that I don't want to put in there, so I've got some stuff coming in, and I'll give you an idea of what it's going to look like. There's some steering box lube there. Let me dig some out for you. Okay, see how that's just kind of thick and running off the screwdriver there? That's just, you know, I've used it for guys down in the southern states and stuff. It's a little bit heavier than I normally like to put in there, so I'm going to get some just a little bit lighter stuff to put in this steering box. So that's going to be next time. We are going to put the cover on, and before I put the cover on, I'll put the lube in there so I can show you what it's supposed to look like when it's properly lubricating instead of grease. So next time after the lube comes in, we'll lube this up, put the cover on, and get it in some epoxy primer. Probably going to do the transmission or transfer case next. I think I'm waiting on a sealed front bearing. I might have it, I don't know. I think I just used my last one, but I've got a sealed front bearing coming in for the T90, and I think I got all the parts for the Model 18 there, so we may do that next. I don't know, I gotta check stock, see what I got, but that's coming next. Steering box is just about done, and we'll be talking about lubrication next time. Okay, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging in there with me, and we'll see you next time. Okay.